Well, it's voting day, friends. Almost like family in some ways. I'm fortunate enough that I know a lot of my listeners personally. Here's our opportunity to change California. And California desperately needs change. The good news, there is some good news coming in. There's a lot of candidates I'm excited about. Republican turnout is above Democrat turnout. It needs to be because there's more Democrats than Republicans, but our turnout, we're running about 12%. They're running about 8%. We'll see what happens when it all wraps up, but those are encouraging numbers. We've got candidates that are changing the playing field on how to run a campaign. We'll get to Spencer Pratt. We've got the forgotten candidates, the ones that nobody meets, that you don't know anything about, like judges. And I can only help you with Fresno County, but I can help you, and we're going to briefly go over judges before we get to regional and then statewide. We've got, I think, 7 judge positions. Almost all of them have an opponent. I think Bricky in, I forget which district, in District 8 is the only one where there's no opponent. Judges, think about how often judges make the decisions. They interpret. Sometimes they make it up out of whole cloth. What is happening? They rule on the constitutionality of it. But if they're not judges that are based on original intent, if they're not judges that are not going to create law, but rather going to interpret law's constitutionality, then we need to pick wisely. So even if you're an out-of-area listener, hang with me for a moment. I'm going to briefly go through our judges. So Superior Court Judge 3, I like Mark Capitan. Don't really know Rosalinda, but I have met Mark Capitan several times. So that's Fresno County Superior Court. Superior Court Office number 6, I like Ashley Paulson. I actually, strangely enough, rather liked Stephen Olson, but I prefer Ashley Paulson. For Superior Court number 7, I like Jeff Hammerschmidt. Interesting guy. We mentioned Bricky for 8. There's nobody running against him. I'm a little torn on this next one, number 8. Eddie Ruiz in some ways seems to be a conservative. He's spending a lot of money. Noel Pepette seems to have more general support. When I looked into some things about Eddie, I'm not going to say anything particularly bad. This is public knowledge. If I look at reviews of his law firm, and when I went back 7 years, more than a third of the people really gave him 1 star, like Yelp type reviews. That was concerning to me. Again, don't know him. I went with Pabette. This is one where I have not met either candidate, so I'm doing my best guess, and I wish I had better for you. For Superior Court Office number 8 in Fresno County, I like Miles Harris. I've met and talked to him. He's an originalist. I asked him, what does he think of original intent, and we had a great conversation. I feel really confident there. And the final judge one is Jennifer Hamilton against James Zhongvang, or Jamie Zhongvang, sorry. This is Superior Court Office number 14. I vastly prefer Hamilton. For Fresno County races, I'm going to skip a lot of them, like county clerk and assessor, recorder, and treasurer, auditor, controller, treasurer, because they're unopposed. But we've got a big one. Fresno schools are in dire straits. We've got an incumbent that I don't believe has brought the results that she promises. We've had about a 1% improvement. No thank you to Michelle Cantwell-Cofer. We've got Emir O'Brien, who is competent, but I don't believe is a change candidate. And we've got Dr. Johnny Alvarado, who I wholeheartedly endorse. Good guy. I hope he makes it through. I would like him to win outright, but at least I hope he makes it through. I like his momentum. I like his odds. I like his positivity. And I like the fact that he's willing to step up and say, we need change, and then has a plan to get us to that change, because in Fresno County, about 25%, the largest school district. So I'm just going to give you the stats for the largest school district, which represents a third of all kids, all students in Fresno County. That is Fresno Unified. 25% of students are on math grade level, and 35% of them are on reading, which means almost 2/3 they can't read good. Yeah, I know I purposely said it that way. They can't read good. And if you're not on grade level, you're not going to be ready for college. Frankly, if you can't read an instruction manual and you're going for more of a trades type job, you might also be challenged. Having a basic reading level and being on grade level, it changes lives. And we got to fix this, so I'm enthusiastic about Dr. Johnny Alvarado for Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. Hope he's elected. Go into his election party, win or lose, tonight.
He's really good. He's been on the program.
He's been on several times. I want to point out that while I did not invite Cantwell Kofer on my show, I did invite Emer O'Brien on 3 times, folks. 3 times. And each time I'd really like to have coffee. No, thank you. I'm not going to give the questions that I might ask. I will be fair. I'll be polite. But thank you.
Yeah, they got to be in the Constitutionalists with Eric Rollins, because you are now the gatekeeper here locally.
Well, I'm trying. I don't know if they have to. They can make whatever choice they want. There's freedom. But
hey, that's just a compliment to you.
I would have been polite and fair, and Emer O'Brien chose not to come on. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Well, Eric, I think you're really scary. No, you're not scary. No, you're fair. You're very diplomatic.
So you're making fun of my whiteness?
No, I'm not going to say
you're
how
saying I'm fair.
No, you're a little pale. But, I mean, no, that's a different thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're trying to give you a tan here with all the lights. But, no, you're very, I think the candidates are not afraid or shouldn't be afraid. And you had some big ones come on. I mean, even ones you have on this list are coming up.
We've got somebody running unopposed. And yet I still think you should be eager to go vote for David Tangipa just as a thank you. Very seldom do we have a representative that is standing for the people in the way that David does. He takes it to the media. He takes it to social media. When he sees something is not right, he not only challenges it, but he gets the information out in a fun, clear, concise way. Vote for David Tangipa. And that is Assembly District 8.
We would say last election cycle that he was a rising star, but I would say he is now a star here in the Valley. Maybe a rising star, I would say national potentially. He has the charisma. Yes. He has the personality. He says things in a way that the young people really love it. And he reaches across, and he picked some fights that are really good for us in the conservative side.
Also motivates people. The thing that because I did not initially, even though I had him on the show, and I was impressed with a lot of things about this young man. But what impressed me most was how he inspired other young men and some young women to support and work for his campaign. Not for money, but because they believed in him. We need leaders that can mobilize the youth, because youth does not vote in the same percentages as older people. Pretty much 50% of the electorate here, or the potential voters, have voted already if they're age 50 and older.
Yeah.
The numbers drop off a dramatic cliff as you get younger. And so anybody that can access that youth vote.
Yeah.
If they're a young pup like my producer here, I don't know that he's voted yet.
Well, I voted an hour and a half before you walked to the studio door. So I'm like, better go down the street. There's a school nearby that I voted, and I was kind of a little disappointed because there was only one other person in front of me. I mean, I'm glad it was easy to in and out, but I'm like, hey, what's the turnout going to be? We need the people on the right to step up here locally.
Well, do we have family? I'm talking to my listeners. Do we have family, friends, an uncle, even a monkey's uncle, if they're going to vote the right in a sane way? How's that?
Yeah.
Can we get them out to vote? What if you stop by? What if you're not doing much today and you made a phone call to one of those people that you were worried about, maybe they haven't gone in and vote, and say, I'll buy you a cup of coffee and I'll take you down to vote.
You know what? What really helped me is the Constitutionalist, by the way, the podcast, listening to being here. Actually, I was asking you, the list that you're going through right now was very helpful to me because I wasn't sure in certain things. You know, people don't look at the things you're talking about, like the court people and maybe the educational related. They look at the big things like governor, I'm sure, and which is rightfully, I get it. But for here, local matters. You've always talked about how local makes a big difference. And guess what I did? The cheat sheet. I better make sure I say it slow and carefully. The cheat sheet really helped me, but I forwarded over. I better pass it on to over a dozen of family members and friends, and many were like, "Thank you," and some are like, "Well, who did I voted for?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. And another one says, I just got a green card, so I can't vote. I go, well, that never stopped others. So, but no, thank you. I think to just emphasize what you're saying, get out the vote and help others be informed.
Well, there's one of my big pushes. One of the simplest things we can do is vote. I would encourage everybody in Fresno County. This is a Voters' Choice Act county, meaning if you're a resident of the county and you're registered to vote, you can show up and vote anywhere there's a polling place. You drive by and you're like, oh, there's one right there. You don't have to go to your local one. You can go to the one closest to your work or the one that's on your way to, I don't know, maybe you're going to the store and you see one there and you have voted and you're like, what was I thinking? How could I have not voted?
Yes. And I just go back to pivot back to what you just said. The last candidate, David Tangipa. Last election cycle, I remember kind of being in that little circle there, and he had dozens upon dozens of volunteers that they got the young vote, and I am very optimistic with that young vote. Which I'm kind of like on the border right there, but no, I blended into the crowd a little bit, but I would love the enthusiasm, and he brings a lot of that, and we need more of that.
When Republicans act like there's no hope, we become a almost self-fulfilling prophecy. True. Oh, my vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. And it's easy to vote. There's no excuse to not. Essentially, a refusal to vote is a vote for what's currently happening. Now, I think what's happening in Clovis is not terrible, but what's happening in Fresno County in a lot of ways isn't so good. And by you not voting there, you're letting somebody else decide. If this is the land of the free, why would you let somebody else define your destiny? You want all the privileges? Get out and vote. I'm going to move on to another candidate. I like this guy. There are 2 Republicans in the race and 1 Democrat. And I'm going to vote in District 12. So this is a State Senate District 12 for Nathan Magsig. It's moving into Shannon Grove's seat. He's the only guy that's got name recognition and money. I would assume a Democrat is going to be against him before it's done, but that's all right. It's one of the reddest districts in California. Yes, for those listening outside, California does have beacons of hope. There are red districts. And potentially, there's a lot of districts, even with the redistricting, that we have opportunity if we just get out and vote. One of the dirty little secrets is that turnout during presidential elections is profoundly higher than other elections. If we just showed up in the same numbers we did for Trump, we would win a huge portion of the state.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a seismic shift.
The silent majority, they say, right?
Well, if they'd wake up and get off their butts.
Yeah. There's a little more. National does impact locally a little bit, especially the young ones. But Magsig is really good. I mean, you've bumped.
Look, I bumped heads with Nathan, but I believe he's
you're
a believer in Christ.
Yes,
he's a very smart man. He always was willing to talk about why he voted the way he voted.
I just love that he was a youth pastor, and and very, very strong in his faith. He's really been a family guy. He's been on the board of supervisors for District 5 for a while. Clovis City Council. I mean, huge resume. And he likes to interact. I should say not just you said bumped heads, but no, he knows.
Well, we
the
butted
issues.
heads on a few issues, and I still think he's wrong.
But he's passionate.
But I got to give
about
him
it.
right.
Yeah.
He's passionate, and he understood the issue, and he discussed the issue. You can't ask for a whole lot more than that. It's okay that he's wrong sometimes.
It's all
Nathan,
right.
I still love you, even though you're wrong sometimes.
My wife reminds me I'm wrong all the time. I mean, just
Come on, I'm sure you're right once in a while.
once in a big while, she gives me a little.
When you don't
little
say
grace.
much.
Yes, I tell her all the time in the men's groups and in marriage. Hey, just say you're right. I'm wrong. That goes a long way. But no, I appreciate that. Nathan is Magsig is doing great, and I voted for him too.
Well, and I'm expecting him to be the next state senator. Though he's got some giant shoes. For as small as Shannon Grove is, she's not very tall. She's fairly petite. If you've ever seen her feet, she has clown-sized feet.
Wow!
And Nathan's going to have to step into those giant shoes to fill them.
That is a breaking news here. That's the first commentary. People are going to be searching for that, and AI is going to come up. Eric Rollins about their clown feet. Sorry,
I
Shannon.
said clown-sized
It's
feet.
clown size. So sorry. I love her. I was seeing her out there on the campaign trail, and if you have her behind you, man, you're a winner.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I only have positive things to say, and that was just a way of illustrating that there's some giant shoes that are going to need to be filled because she is actually moving on to Board of Equalization.
Yes.
So she's still got a will to serve the people. Board of Equalization, essentially, it's a job that writes all the rules or writes tax law. And on that board, she will be able to influence tax law. And since she's a fiscal conservative and is known for doing the right thing, I hope she gets your vote for District 1 Board of Equalization.
Yep. She's really good.
Moving on to the first statewide race. Oh, I skipped one. Before I do that, we've got one more that is kind of more Fresno County, but it's also Tulare County. That is Jim Costa. Yes, Chicken Jim Costa has been around almost as long as I've been alive. Definitely as long as my producer's been alive. In office. He's been a congressman for quite some time. Reason I call him Chicken Jim is because, he gets invited to debates, and five of the six, he has not actually shown up. He's agreed to do it. His office has agreed to do it, and that he doesn't show up. Last year he did show up, and he was absolutely, utterly decimated, and then he ran off before he could talk to anybody, because I immediately ran up to try to talk to him, and he was running out the door.
Wow.
Chicken Jim Costa is the right way to go. You've got two people in this district. This is Congressional District 21 that are running after that office. That would be Kyle Kirkland and Lorenzo Rios. I'm not a huge fan of Kyle. Kyle's known for donating to Kamala Harris when she was Attorney General. Now, the claim from his office is that, he runs Club One Casino. He was the chair of the Gaming Commission for California, so, he needed to buy some influence. Yikes. He also gave to lots of local politicians that would have to do with zoning and things that had to do with where his office was. Oh, okay. Kind of uncomfortable with that. But ironically, he also, Kyle Kirkland, who's running against Jim Costa, used to donate to Jim Costa.
Really?
Does not inspire confidence.
I did not know that.
Yep. And his campaign, and when they see this, they will not be happy with me, but I'm just calling him like I see him. Kyle is not the worst guy, but I believe we can do much better. And that better is Lorenzo Rios.
I agree. I mean, we can't escape. Jim Costa has been in Washington, but for 2 decades, and
he's been in Sacramento for another 2 decades.
Yeah, and Central Valley,
little over 40 years.
Yeah. So the Central Valley is going. As we've seen it, kind of like turn third world in some areas, and all these things, and farmers are being hurt, the water diverted, all these special interests. I mean, over and over. It is, when I say time to change, it's not an Obama thing. It's really a time for just like a cardiac recovery and shock. I love Lorenzo Rios. He's been here in the studio, and he knows.
Well, he's an immigrant,
Mm-hmm.
and he's America first.
Former Marine, veteran. And
I don't even necessarily mean America first in the Trump sense. Shouldn't we all be rooting for this country first rather than trying to tear it down? I think every common sense person should be rooting for America first. Lorenzo Rios is a passionate patriot.
Yeah, there's a whole discussion on the American First. Now, I think because the national thing with the Trump going on, I think we got to separate some things. If you're disenfranchised about what the Iran stuff, that does not matter when it comes here locally. We need Lorenzo Rios here because Jim Chicken. What do you call him? Chicken Jim
Chicken Costa.
legs. What is it? You look at his legs. You look at people's feet and legs. What was it?
He just has this spirit about him.
Yeah.
And then, have you ever had a rubber chicken in your hands and you squeezed it and it makes that squawk sound?
Yeah, the squeak.
That's the same squeak sound that I hear from Jim Costa. Anytime he's pushed with a hard question, and then he runs for cover. I don't understand how this man keeps getting elected. We have an opportunity to unseat Jim Costa. He won't be gone this time because he's definitely going to make it through. But I truly hope that it's Lorenzo Rios that has the opportunity to go against Jim Costa, as opposed to Jim Costa's, I don't know, are they friends? You'd think if you wouldn't need to donate to Jim Costa. Why would you need to donate to federal and at the same time donate to local? I'm confused. Why would Kyle Kirkland do that? But at least we know Lorenzo Rios doesn't do stuff like that.
No, he is really, really sharp. I've heard him speak several times, and he knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are other people to talk about. We don't think a lot about insurance. Or we do when we have to pay the bill or we can't find insurance. We've got regulations and scarcity here in California, and it's expensive to get insurance, whether it's for your health or your car or farm insurance or home insurance or liability insurance. All of it is expensive. And there's somebody running for insurance commissioner that I believe is thoroughly qualified, very sharp, has 30 plus years of experience in the insurance business running an insurance agency, and that is Stacy Korsgaden. I enthusiastically endorse Stacy. I voted for Stacy. There are a couple other Republicans running. They don't have her level of experience. So if you haven't voted, I think that's the way to go.
Now, she was on the show, right?
She was on the show.
Yeah.
She was on via Zoom, but the woman is sharp. And I've listened to her speak multiple times and met her in person a few times. And I'm enthusiastic about this one.
And that's what it is. When I didn't really know, I didn't know much. I didn't even heard of her name. And let me tell you, because I'm like others who just kind of hear kind of the major things. And this is a very important thing that handles so much of the regulation here, right?
Well, there's regulation. There's what they call the FAIR Plan, which is basically government insurance, which the Democrats would like nothing better than to control one more aspect of your lives. They start rubbing their hands every time they hear they're going to get more power and have more control. And Stacy wants to deregulate. She wants to invite more people in. Our current insurance commissioner, I'm not sure if he did any work the entire almost 4 years he's been in office. He had zero experience in the insurance industry. He's just a case of vote blue no matter who. He was the Democrat, but he wasn't even qualified for the job. And then his body of work that he's done, we have less insurers, it's more money. And somehow he thought a big trip to Europe would help that. Because I'm sure there's all those insurance agencies in Europe that cover the U.S., right?
Oh, I think we should have the politicians travel like Karen Bass, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Well, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's a whole lot of opportunity in Ghana. I guess you can have a good party, especially if your hometown's burning down.
Yeah, she's going to be at Ghana soon.
I've only met Michael Gates once. I've listened to him speak multiple times. He is running against corrupt, and the reason I say corrupt, Rob Bonta for Attorney General. Rob Bonta's wife just did what they call the Nick Shirley Act. She's in the assembly.
Man.
Okay, that's his wife, who's going to make it harder for independent journalists to uncover fraud.
No conflict of interest there, but
No conflict of interest. And he's all for this. So he doesn't want independent journalists to find fraud, and in that Nick Shirley Act, there's a $10,000 fine. You have to remove your content if you put it up on social media. Look, I want whistleblowers, and if there's something wrong, heads need to roll. And Rob Bonta wants to hide that. Michael Gates, on the other hand, wants to bring transparency. The man is a very qualified lawyer. He basically led Huntington Beach to its revolt against the rest of California. Can you imagine? There was a place in Southern California that was so conservative that they got voter ID for their city.
that's great.
And he led that fight.
I love it. We need that.
Well, we need voter IDs. Even 75% of Democrats think we need voter ID. Only 85% of Republicans think we need voter ID, and I don't know what's wrong with that 15%.
I thought it was 85% of the whole electorate.
Depends on which poll you look at.
Okay.
But the last one I looked at, it was 85% of Republicans. It's 75% of Democrats, and it's about 80%
We can't talk
when
about
we factor in independents.
Yeah, minorities. I'm not smart enough to get an ID. So what is that? Is that the Costco thing I show when I go to Costco? Never mind.
I'm pretty sure you have to show something at Costco.
The membership, yeah.
Well, Costco's more important than voting.
I know. Yeah. I went diligence there for a second.
For treasurer, I'm a little more torn. I would say I really only looked at two candidates, Jennifer Hawks and David Serpa. I really like David. He has been an utter flamethrower for the Republican Party, and sometimes that's useful, and sometimes that's not useful because there's things they need to be yelled at about. But he hasn't raised that much money. The other person I looked at is Jennifer Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
She is running along with Steve Hilton as part of his golden ticket. There are, so that you know, and we will get to governor, there are multiple people that chose to run with Steve Hilton, Michael Gates also being one of them, trying to have a unified front so that they're pledged to work together to try to change California. I thought that was an interesting way to approach it. And so I voted for Jennifer Hawks, but I'm not as enthusiastic as some. I'm not saying something bad. I just don't know a whole lot about her. And that's kind of the exception. Most of the time I've met or spoken to or occasionally interviewed a lot of these people, but just didn't happen in this case. For controller, Herb Morgan is definitely the guy. He's already set up a website for not much money. Not much money at all. He spent like 20 grand and set up a website that creates transparency. He plans to implement that on a statewide platform, and he plans to move his office. If Michael Gates is elected Attorney General, he's going to move his office next door so that when he finds something, because the controller basically spends all his time making sure that government is spending the money the way it's supposed to spend it. Well, he wants to be able to just walk right across the way and hand our new Attorney General, Michael Gates, these potential fraud problems so that instead of it all just kind of going away and being brushed under the rug, we can nail them. And I think we need to nail them.
Amen.
Secretary of State for California, I like Don Wagner. He is endorsed by several LA people that I know. I have not met this one, but everything I've watched maybe 10 interviews of his. He seems to be very common sense. He's definitely a smart man. I hope he's elected. And we're starting to get to the bigger ones.
Well, so Secretary of State, isn't that has to do with the elections too, right?
Yes.
That's definitely huge.
Well, Shirley Weber is the current Secretary of State. And the way it's set up, I could go to the state website, and if I was willing to lie, and criminals have been known to be willing to lie, I could fill out as many voter ID, or not voter ID, guess what? No ID. As many voter registrations as I wanted. And I could all have them sent to, in some cases, P.O. boxes. I might claim that they need to be sent to a particular address, because there have been numerous times where they've found 40 people supposedly living in a home, all registered to vote.
Nick Shirley did too, right?
Yeah, Nick Shirley, why, he
did. Oh, it's all tied.
The same guy that they want to prosecute, with the Nick Shirley Act.
Don't look behind the curtain.
Gavin doesn't want transparency. When a bill came up about auditing what happened to the homeless money, Gavin vetoed it. When another bill came up about just being generally transparent and auditing the California government, communist industrial complex, Gavin vetoed it. So we're getting to Lieutenant Governor. This is the person who steps in if, let's say, during COVID, Gavin made us all stay, when he had his executive powers, when he had his Emergency Act powers.
Yep.
And he went off to Montana. Or was it Wyoming? It's one of those states.
And restaurants and other places, yeah.
But he said nobody could leave the state for a little while.
Yep.
There were a few weeks of that, and then he left. So the lieutenant governor, I believe it was Elaine Koukasakis at the time, took over. And why? Gavin had a different set of rules. So the lieutenant governor, basically, they're on several committees, and then they, much like the vice president, step in and run things if the governor ever leaves. And I would encourage Gavin to leave anytime he wants. Just don't come back.
Yep.
I wholeheartedly say that Gavin can leave California anytime he wants. Just don't come back. There's plenty of places where they seem to love narcissists. And so any place where Gavin can get total attention, but the problem is he also wants total power.
He has a good shoulder shuffle thing he does. Good dance moves.
Or if he gets really excited and the question's good, he'll do the milk and the cow.
Yeah, I love your AI videos, by the way. I don't know where you get those, but him doing all those, his princess thing and all that stuff he does.
Those are a trade secret, but they are definitely.
Somebody's living
they
proxy. They
personify Gavin's inner child. So, Lieutenant Governor, this one was a little tough for me because I personally like E.B. Lynch, but I just couldn't go that way. I went with Dave Fennell because I thought he had the best chance. He's another one of those people on the golden ticket with Steve Hilton. He's raised money. He's kind of a moderate, but we're in California. We're not going to get, in most areas, hardcore conservatives. We have to get some Democrat votes, and we unquestionably have to get some independent or no party preference votes. So I'd rather take what I can get and somewhat compromise than get nothing. Because we're a top two, what they call jungle primary. Doesn't matter which party, only the top two make it through, so I had to pick the strongest candidate.
Yeah.
And that's my segue into what's going on with governor, because top two only make it through. And as I've looked at polls, and I've looked at likely voter polls, I've looked at polls from the left, polls from the right, and Steve Hilton has been number one or number two for a few months, and most of the time in the top spot. Chad Bianco, for the last 2 months, has been 2 or 3, and in the last 2 weeks has been 3 or 4. So I know that I've got some friends that are, basically they hate Steve Hilton, and they're completely pro Chad Bianco, and they're going to call me, a fake conservative. And I'm going to look at this and go, look, not a single one of the governor candidates like Louis Herms, like Gian, like Leo Zaki made it through. They're nowhere in the polls. They don't even show up. So we're down to 2. I would say that there are legitimate criticisms of Steve Hilton, and there are legitimate criticisms of Chad Bianco.
Yeah.
But if it's a jungle primary, I've got to vote for the guy that I think is going to make it through. And 4th place, which is, again, I've looked at liberal polls, conservative polls, good pollsters, bad pollsters. They're all basically coming up. So either you're telling me all the polls are wrong, or you're such a purist that you have to vote for Chad Bianco no matter what. Well, frankly, I think there's better candidates. Those other 3 I mentioned, if you're going to do a protest vote, I'd vote for Zaki. I decided not to do Leo Zaki. I decided not to do a protest vote because I would rather get a flawed candidate who has a great plan for fixing California, because Steve Hilton has a great plan and he can articulate it well, but he's flawed. He's got some connections through his wife that worry me. He's got some connections to what they call the conservative government, the Cameron government in England, but that's like saying the Democrats of 10 years ago. Or maybe even a little left of that. Yet that's the possibilities. There was not a more conservative party in England where he's from. He's an immigrant to England, and now he's a U.S. citizen. And he gave up his citizenship because he had dual citizenship between England and the U.S. He announced it in San Diego, so...
Yeah. A year?
What is that, 6 months ago?
Okay.
No, not San Diego. Anaheim is when he announced that, because I was in the room when he announced that.
Yeah.
So, do you want to be a purist? Because if you do, probably what's going to happen is if people in large numbers vote for Chad Bianco, because I don't think he can climb this hill, that's a vote for a Democrat. And if Steve Hilton doesn't make it through, even if he can't be elected, we lose the opportunity and the bully pulpit to talk about how to fix California for 4 months. If instead we have 2 Democrats, and if it's 2 Democrats, it's going to be Steyer, who's frankly a rich man communist, but he's going to keep his wealth as he talks about taxing the rich and helping the poor, but he's going to keep his wealth. And then you've got the incompetent Javier Becerra. I would rather have Hilton any day over those 2. And I got to tell you, if Chad Bianco was the one that had the poll numbers, and again, if this was one poll, that's one thing. This is a series of polls. I would be voting for Chad Bianco.
So you're kind of doing the math.
I'm doing the math. This is I'm not going to get everything I want.
Yeah.
There's things I'm unhappy about with both candidates, both those Republican candidates. And I'm making the best choice.
I love how you're saying you're kind of cutting hairs a little bit. They're both conservative. There's a lot more that they agree on. They do have some baggage, both of them. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you on the Steve Hilton. Yes, I'm on the record for that because of the numbers, the math too. And I think, though, it's very dangerous if, let's say, Hilton or one or the other gets it. You don't want to bash them so much when it comes time for November that there's, the whole right has hurt them so bad. I think there's a line like, I'm for this one versus I'm against this one. That makes it very, I think, hard, and especially it's so thin, narrow margins.
I'm expecting people to thoroughly bash me, the Bianco people. And I'm looking at this going, we're in almost borderline communist California. We've got an authoritarian named Gavin Newsom in charge. I thoroughly believe that both Bianco and Hilton would be profoundly better than the best Democrat that's polling, and that would be Matt Mahan out of San Jose. I still think he'd be better than the best Democrat. Either one of them would be better than the best Democrat. So I'm making the best choice. And at least with Hilton, he's got money, he's got enthusiasm, he shows up, and by the way, he doesn't just show up for his issues. He was through the valley multiple times for getting voter ID on the ballot. He's been through the valley about Prop 13 protections multiple times. He was coming through the valley as early 2023 to help people like David Tangipa, who we talked about earlier, get elected, to help Ali Macedo get elected. He showed up for Joanna Rose Garcia, Garcia Rose, who unfortunately was not elected, but is a great person.
Great campaign manager they had, too. She had.
Well, he was a little full of himself, but otherwise he's a good guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I one thing I did love about Steve Hilton, again, I was there kind of in that little kind of environment there, and he was helping those who were ahead of the polls, behind in the polls. He was truly grassroots. He went to a crowd of 12 to several hundred in the crowd. He was really
think about that. He showed up to a tiny crowd just because he was passing through and could help.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Coffee shops.
And he did it 3 years ago.
Before announcing, before anything.
Right.
Before, I again, it's nothing against Chad. I mean, I heard he's a rock star down south. And to my friends out there, come on, don't hate on each other. We're trying to win no matter what. So I'm with you. I understand operating in the gray. I understand the nuances of things. And I'm with you on some of these things. If I wanted to, I love Zaki. I mean, he was really good, and like what he said. But again, the math wasn't there.
Right. Folks, remember Prop 36? 70% of Californians went, yeah, we should make crime again. 70%. Meaning this is something that the voters really wanted. We were tired of $1,000 being just a misdemeanor and a tiny slap on the wrist, because it just encouraged more crime. So we essentially turned that around. 70% of voters said, we don't want this. We want crime to be crime. And the party that's in total control in Sacramento, Newsom and his drunken Democrats, they decided, well, we're just not going to fund Prop 36. So it really hasn't been implemented, this idea and this boost that law enforcement needed so that they could, any law enforcement organization in California that doesn't have the funding, they're not arresting people like they could. And frankly, a small number of people do the majority of the crimes. So this is not as huge a problem. We just have to fund it. And so if we have to fund it, then we need politicians that are willing to fund it. So no matter what the Democrats promise you, for if you've got relatives that say, well, the Democrats, they're watching out for me. Were they watching out for you when you wanted crime to be crime? They have chosen the criminals over the average citizen. And every time a criminal steals $1,000 worth of stuff, and it is a misdemeanor, because we haven't funded the new way of looking at this, you have to pay for that. Because somebody like Target just raises their prices on everything every time another $1,000 goes out. So the Democrats can talk a good game, but they didn't fund, or in effect, they kind of defunded the police. Their talk about defunding the police, it just lived it out in a different way here. We've got one moment of hope that's, I think, a lot about fun, and that is Spencer Pratt. He has kind of redefined how to campaign. He has used AI, a sense of humor, to create more than a dozen commercials that I consider to be phenomenal. He was perceived as just a joke. And I don't think he's just a joke. Now all of a sudden in some of the polls, he is ahead of Karen Bass. I think he's going through to November. LA needs common sense. LA needs to deal with the homeless problem. LA needs to deal with the bad roads. The Democrats that have been in charge of LA for years have failed on basic services. Let's go ahead and play something by Spencer Pratt to give people just a taste of the craziness of LA and his approach to tackling it.
If you've seen these AI-generated ads elevating candidate for Los Angeles Mayor Spencer Pratt to superhero status and painting his rival Karen Bass as the Joker, you're seeing a new trend in political advertising. Spencer Pratt's campaign isn't making the ads. it's his supporters.
People are going to look to what this campaign has been able to do in terms of getting people energized and mobilized at the grassroots in a different sort of way. It's not about donating with your money or even knocking on doors. If you're doing your own video, you're buying into a campaign in a way that is now more authentic for a lot of voters who came of age in an era where user-generated content is king.
Yep, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I love it.
And there are multiple ads. There's one where he's playing Batman and Karen Bass is the Joker.
I think he's more Nightwing, is it?
I guess that would be more Nightwing.
Come on, you just disappointed me with your comics right there.
Sorry. There's also a great Star Wars one where Karen Bass has the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. I want to point out that LA, it's the largest voting bloc, and it's mostly very liberal, and it's a large part of why the state turns the way it does. And Karen Bass is a Democratic Socialist, though actually hung out with Castro, and you can find pictures, not AI-generated pictures, actual pictures of her calling Castro her president.
Oh, he's yeah.
Fidel Castro of Cuba, the communist country just south of Florida. So she's a communist. Fortunately, she's also pretty incompetent, so it creates a lot of opportunity. She claimed she was going to fix a bunch of stuff. She did not.
Yeah, and Pratt's a rock star. He's cutting through all the noise. Media's trying to pin him down, and he knows how to deal with the media. He knows how to answer all the questions. He goes to all the neighborhoods there. I love the Hispanics. The minority vote is there. I mean, people don't want these elites now. Elites got to get out.
Mm-hmm. There's also an ad that I just love that is Karen Basura. Mm-hmm. It's not Karen Bass. Basura means trash. And there are now several Latin-themed, some rap, some other styles of music about taking out the trash.
Yeah, we can't play it or get flagged for it, but I love it.
But they sure are fun.
Yep.
So this is a new way to campaign. If you have a candidate you truly believe in, guess what? It's not the candidates, and it's not the campaigns that are doing a lot of these. Independents are stepping in and finding creative ways. I am so thrilled that it used to be the left was the creative ones, and the right has awoken.
Yes.
And I don't mean we're woke. I mean a sleeping giant is starting to awaken, and using that creativity and using skills to campaign in a new way. And I think this is a wave of the future, and this is the first fully embraced social media campaign we've seen. Pay attention, folks. This could change California. Remember, if you know anybody that you think might not have voted, just give them a call today. Have you talked to your dad or your mom or your cousin? Are they the kind of people that are super busy and don't tend to vote? Reach out to them. Again, offer them a cup of coffee. Tell you what, let's go out to dinner. Hey, bring your ballot. You drop them by. You drop off your ballot if they don't want to actually go in and vote in person. It's still better to drop it off at a ballot box. It's you, meaning every one of you listening, meaning all your friends and neighbors that can change California, and this is a great opportunity. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist. Folks, go make a difference.